Okay, students, let's see what we can do about getting our text to align the way that we want to inside of each div or container. For example, as you can see, it looks like my Jerry Johnson's landing page is slammed up against the top. Link 1, link 2, etc. slammed against the top of that container. The same is true for in the footer, but in my content area, it's slammed against the left and the right. The key word here is padding. Some programs use the word inset or margins, but this is padding. We want to put a little spacing to move things up, down, right, left a little bit. So let's start with the header. And that means we got to go to the CSS in the code. Let's go to the header. It's in this area right here. And we're going to add padding. What padding does, there's the only thing that's a little complicated about padding, there's four sides. There's the top, right, bottom, and left. And remember, it's in that order, and it's somewhat like the clock. It's clockwise. Think of that in this order. So we're going to put padding right here at the end of this header. It doesn't really matter which order, but I'm going to just put it after the typographical uh, uh, declarations. So we have padding right here. The keyword is padding. And then I'm going to start with the top. Now I'm just looking at the header, and remember that header is just, if I can get that to move over, I just want to move Jerry Johnson down. Let me give you a clue of what I'm about to do. I'm going to put so many pixels, like 20 pixels of padding on the top only, and that will push this away from the top. But here's what happens in web design. When you add padding, it also adds more pixels to the height of this container. So if this container was 120 pixels tall, if I add 20 pixels padding to the top, it now makes it 140. So if I add 20 pixels of padding, I have to subtract from the height. If I'm adding padding to the top, subtract from the height. If I'm adding to the right and the left, I have to subtract from the width. I'll show that later, but let me just do the top part. So let's go over here to the code and into the header. So we've got padding here. We'll start with the top. I'm going to say 20 pixels. Notice this little indicator right here, this prompt. We can do separately. We can do padding top, padding right, padding bottom, padding left. We can make 4 different lines of code, but we could actually just do one if we'll do it in a series like I'm about to do. So don't make it distinctive between top, right, bottom, left. We do this way. So I'm going to say padding top is 20 pixels. The padding right is 0 pixels. The padding bottom 0 pixels. Oops. And left is 0 pixels. Close it with a semicolon. Now I'm going to go up here. Well, let me show you what would happen in the design view. See, it did move it down a little bit, right? Maybe not quite enough, but it did make the height 20 pixels taller. But I think I'm going to have to do a little bit more. So I'm going to go back to the code, and I'm going to say padding on the header. I'm going to say 26 pixels. Now I'm going to subtract this 26 from the height. I know this is some high-end math, so that means it's going to be like 94 pixels tall. Subtracting 26 from 120. Let's see if that looks anywhere close to being centered. It's better, but not enough. I'm actually going to make my header a little bit smaller. So let me go over here, and it is a game of just kind of push and pull to get it where I want to say 84. Make it smaller yet. Yeah, that looks pretty good. It's a little bit more space at the bottom, but I think that's fine. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing for the links here. All right, let's go to this is in the nav bar. Remember the nav? I'm going to do the same thing. In fact, I'm just going to copy this. It says padding. I'm going to copy this padding, but I need to change it. I don't need it to be that severe. Let's say something like 10 pixels top, and that will push it down from the top. I'm not worried about the right or left or bottom on this. Okay, that's nice, good space above that, and I'm going to make this shorter. And let's see what the size was. The height was Got to get back up to the nav. The height was 40, so I'm going to make it 20. And too much. So I'm going to make it 30 instead. You get the idea. It's just a kind of a guesstimate here until it looks right for you. So nav, padding top here. Oh, it's the height here. I'm sorry. I want to make that 30 then instead of 20. Perfect. I like the looks of that. One more thing before I stop talking about padding. We're going to have to do the same thing for the footer here in a moment. We need padding on the right and left of this body copy. It's just too close. So I want to have like 24 pixels padding. Let me make the math easier. 20 on the left and 20 on the right. So what do you think that'll look like? That's in the content area. I'm going to say padding. And the top, I'm going to just make 0. It looks fine right now. I'm going to say padding right is 20. And then padding left is this last one, 20. Remember, top, right, bottom, left, clockwise. So since we're looking at right and left that we added padding, that's 40 total. 20 plus 20 is 40. I'm going to subtract 40 from the width, and that's going to make a 60. If I don't subtract, then all of a sudden my nav bar is going to be 40 pixels wider than all the other containers. It'll just stick out there like a board or something. So see how this looks there? Looks pretty good. On this side, that padding is pretty comfortable. Let's fix the footer, and we'll be good to go. A couple things I want to do really quickly, though. We need to make our content area flexible. In other words, we told it to be 300 pixels tall. Let's change that now and make it like the wrapper itself and make it auto. So the height of the content is set to 300 by default. Let's change that to auto, and I think then things will flow just fine. So no matter what kind of content you have there, it'll look fine. Looks good. Okay, one thing is the footer. Let's fix that footer padding, and then we're going to stop here on this video. Footer, same thing. Padding, top, I'm going to say 16, and I'm just guessing. There's no formula here. And so let's just see what this does. That looks fine. I just need to make this footer not quite so tall. So let me take about 20 pixels off that footer height. Make that 30. Bingo. Looks fine. The next video I want to show you how to insert photos.